When I'm working with leaders that are less enlightened, a lot of times I can tell right away because of the words and the phrases they're using, right? So that from that perspective, I'm always going to be looking at how connected are they to authority, right? How, important is defining who's got decision-making authority. So as we start to have that conversation, right, and we can look at their readiness for change, they may not be ready for what we've got to bring to them. And that's okay, right? So part of this methodology is that it's not to be forced into the organization. This requires transformation. And if organizations truly want to transform how they operate and really want to get to a culture that's really focused on success, then they need to be ready for that. So one of the things we do in terms of our assessment of them as a particular candidate for applying Matrix Management 2.0 or really knowing what they need is to understand what they're ready to adopt, right? So part of it is we've got a maturity model that gets through 5 levels, right? Well, some organizations are only ready for the first level, and that's focused on projects. And that's a great place to start. And for some organizations, it's the only place they need to go to, and that's okay too. What I really want to do is talk to them about, okay, we've got a change coming in. So one, we need the leadership at the highest levels to buy into it. They need to be willing to drive this change. They really need to be able to model this change. If they don't, right, it makes it more difficult. It doesn't make it impossible though, right? So I've worked with organizations in the past where we've had one leader who was really ready to go and had enough of an area, because a lot of times you'll have a matrix within a matrix. And there's complexity, we know that. So if we get one leader who's ready, who actually has a group of leaders and team members that want to operate differently, we can start there. And we can really affect some change in their group so that they can actually work outside and across the organization. As we're working with organizational leaders that are ready, and often they're ready because they're in a lot of pain. So they're ready to change because everything they've tried in the past isn't really solving their problems. They're still struggling to get things done. There's still delays in their processes or their projects that the scope isn't really set well. So we'll tap into that. In our change, we have a change-based model for implementation. We call it DSDMA. So it's diagnosis, strategy, design. And those are our pieces of, well, what's your solution? What's your unique solution? And then we have migration and assessment. Well, throughout those stages, we're constantly looking at, okay, what's the technical difficulty of what we're trying to do? So we're really defining what we need to do. And then where do we have to get the group ready from an adaptability perspective? So in our diagnosis stage, we really focus on getting at what's really going on. What's the root cause of what's creating your problems? Well, at that stage, we're actually creating paradigm shifts. We're actually helping them see what they think is the real problem isn't the real problem. That's adoption, because it allows us to move to the next stage that says, okay, great, we're with you. Let's strategize what our solution is. So now we look at, okay, what do you need to do? What's your organizational strategy? Great, we want to be in a certain market. We want to be driving a certain new products into the market, all these different things. Well, with that business strategy, you need what we call an operational strategy. How are you actually going to run this business to deliver it? So we start to look at that. In our process, we look at it from a truly collaborative partnership base. We're co-creating a solution with our clients. We're never going in there and telling them what to do, because we don't have to implement it. We don't have to run it. They do. So part of their ability to be successful and sustain is being engaged in the co-creation process throughout. So once we get the solution, we're looking for buy-in and commitment to what needs to happen. Once we have that, we can then go to the hard work of design, develop, let's get it implemented, and start to move through design and migration. And those are the pieces where we partner and support them, offer training options to prepare everyone as to what's coming and how they need to work differently. And that allows us to really create success throughout this implementation and transformation.